Hello friends and welcome back to the Brockopp side. Today we got ourselves a movie review of First Man, directed by Damien Chazelle. The movie is about the famous moon landing from the late 60s and mainly focuses on a young Neil Armstrong played by Ryan Gosling. I've been a big fan of Damien Chazelle's last two movies, Whiplash and La La Land. Whiplash has easily become one of my new all-time favorite movies, and I would say that I enjoyed La La Land more than most do. You know, I like how it's got that classic musical vibe and things like that. But anyway, so of course I was looking forward to seeing Damien Chazelle's latest film, and yeah, I could safely say that it is a strong entry in his filmography. I would still say that Whiplash is definitely better and it's the best one of all three, and I'm not quite sure where this one's gonna land just yet. I think I need to see it more than once, but yeah, I really enjoyed First Man. The whole movie is shot on film and has lots of zoom in and zoom outs like on a Super 8 camera, so it makes you feel like you're watching this big grand home movie of Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin trying to, work on this mission to get to the moon. This very well-edited and well-acted home movie. Ryan Gosling was an excellent Neil Armstrong, and there's more to this guy than simply his famous "one small step for man" line. I had no idea that Neil Armstrong had a young daughter that died of cancer at a very young age. It's a very heartbreaking thing for anybody to go through, and Ryan Gosling delivers those emotions perfectly, which he carries throughout the entire movie. I also couldn't help but notice some parallels between Neil Armstrong in First Man and Andrew Neiman, Miles Teller's character, in Whiplash. Both are very determined to succeed in their own goals, getting to the moon and becoming a famous drummer, and they both have these major obstacles and things getting in their way. With Neil Armstrong, it's all these failed tests and the public just being completely against the whole idea. With Andrew Neiman, it's of course J.K. Simmons' character verbally and physically and emotionally abusing him. And then when it gets to this certain point in the movie when just enough bad crap happens, both characters seem to kind of shut down. All they want to do is just focus solely on their goals. They shut out a bunch of other people in their life. They almost become completely emotionless because they're like, nothing else is important, let's just keep going, keep going, keep going. So I don't know if that's totally accurate to real life. Of course, I was not there, but I couldn't help but notice there being some parallels between Neil Armstrong in First Man and Andrew Neiman in Whiplash. So I don't know if that was intentional, but considering they're directed by the same guy, it's entirely possible. Claire Foy gives an excellent performance as Neil Armstrong's wife. There are a lot of astronauts that died in these experiments trying to actually get to the moon, and Claire Foy sees just how this is affecting their wives and their children, and she begins to realize after a while that that could possibly be her and her children, so eventually she has to stand up to Neil and be like, hey, you need to tell our children that there is a very large possibility that you might not make it back. She plays a supportive housewife, but she's also very much the backbone of the entire family, trying to keep everything together, so it's a very strong performance all in all. A lot of people have said this is a movie you really need to see in IMAX, which unfortunately I did not, but still, even just seeing it in a regular format screen, I still felt very immersed, and I felt like I was in these space pods, right alongside Neil and Buzz Aldrin and all these other astronauts trying to figure out how to make things work when they malfunction, trying to get back on the ground safely, so you feel like you're right there in the middle of the action while they're trying to figure all this stuff out over the course of several years. But if you are prone to motion sickness, there are a few sequences in the movie where flight tests go horribly wrong and they start spinning all over the place and there's lots of shaky cam, so I'm just warning you here and now, there are a few sequences like that, so best to eat your popcorn as quickly as possible because you're probably gonna need something to throw up in. So, spoiler alert, they do make it onto the moon, and it's a very satisfying feeling when they do. Seeing Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong step onto the lunar landscape for the first time, it feels earned because we've seen what exactly they went through and all the people and friends they've lost in the process. But there's this controversy that they didn't show them planting the American flag on the moon, and, you know, there's this whole thing about, you know, Ryan Gosling saying, well, it's not just an American achievement, it's a human achievement, which I think this whole thing is a little ridiculous. I mean, yeah, it's both an American and a human achievement, and it's not like they don't show the American flag, it's clearly there in a few different shots, so I didn't even think about it when I was watching it because I was emotionally invested in it, so it really didn't cross my mind, and it's not a big deal. You still see the flag, and you're supposed to pay attention to these characters and seeing them finally succeed in their years and years of trying to get there. That's the important part, not just the flag. So all in all, First Man retells the famous moon landing story in a very satisfying way. You're emotionally involved, and there's a good chance you might puke once or twice. Just saying. So, those are my thoughts on First Man. If you guys have seen the movie, or if you're gonna, I don't know, when are we ever gonna get back to the moon anyway? But anyway, let me know down below, and we'll see you. Oh, no, oh shit.